when you can move through the world unperturbed, calm, cool, collected, you don't need to be showboaty about anything. You just are who you are, and you're just minding your own business most of the time. But you also follow God, and you try to stay in regard to as how you move within the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and you keep faith in God as your number one priority when it comes to how you move. Well, you're going to get some flack for that just from being who you are. And it's almost like there's this calm resilience that is circling you all the time. And people sometimes don't really know how to process this because they've never seen somebody that is, or they just aren't used to it. Somebody that is of your stature, that has that kind of calm, maybe a bit of coldness as well. Maybe you're incorporating a different kind of coldness and calmness to your presence, but but you're still just doing you. You're not trying to be rude. You're not trying to talk anybody down or disregard anybody. You're just trying to stay in your lane. And your silent godliness is going to reveal and impact your environment far more than you could possibly imagine. And I know this because for a long time, Kevin Samuels has talked about the difference between a tiger and a lion for men. And if you haven't checked out what he's talking about, I highly recommend you go check this out. I just barely thought about this. I didn't plan to talk about this, but now that it's in my mind, I want to go through it because I think it would be relevant. When you are a tiger, let's say, you are usually a loner. There's a lot of aloneness to you. You hunt alone. You're alone most of your life. There's this kind of aura of chaos that is always encircling you. But when you're with lions, you're a little bit more sociable. You still have that ferocious side of you, but you're also affectionate. You orient family as a priority. Like you have certain things that are going to be differentiated between these two kind of archetypes, let's say, of personalities. And it's not always going to be the case that you are acting like a tiger or a lion, let's say. And I'm using these as metaphorical purposes, or for more metaphorical purposes, okay? But when you are silent and you're godly and you stay in your lane, you do what you want to be doing, and you're not trying to, put anybody down, you might be considered a tiger rather than a lion, because a lion is more, you have a group of people, you have a network of people, you have certain things going on for you. And so I consider myself now more to be a lion, but when I'm out in my personal physical community, I suppose I act more like a tiger, let's say, as far as the archetype goes. And the reason for that is because I know that my circle is mostly people from online and around the world. And even in the Regal Change Academy, there's nobody that I have yet to meet in my physical community. I've talked to people about it, but nobody I've yet to meet that has really met with the vetting process and has been able to go through the vetting process for entering the Regal Change Academy. And so it's almost like you have to just move completely different in your physical community. And I think godly people are going to eventually simply be on the plane of the digital realm more so than any other place in the future, because, well, that's what's already happening. It's just going to be able to be magnified. And, fortunately, the Regal Change Academy, for example, has got there early to the game. And I realized this actually listening to Terrence McKenna, who I don't necessarily agree with everything that he talks about. And I think he had a lot of demons that he was working through. But there was something really fascinating that he talked about, which is that he thinks that the world is going to be basically all virtual with, people will be, the way that he described it is people will be living in caves and yet they'll just put their virtual goggles on or whatever, and they'll be with their friends from around the world. And agriculture will be a thing of the past. As far as your own agriculture will be automated. Everything with AI will be automated, so no jobs will be there. And basically, you're just going to be able to live in this virtual world. And I think that's a highly probable proposition, but I don't necessarily think that's a godly proposition, and I don't necessarily think that that's where we ought to go as a society. Because, well, why? Why would we want to do that? Why not stay grounded in who we really are? Because at that point, we're just plugging into the system. But I definitely think there's a time and a place to use the system to your advantage. And that's exactly what we're striving to do with the Regal Change Academy, for example. But your godliness, if you don't have a network, you're going to start to impact incrementally your environment in certain ways that you didn't think were even possible. People might start to act very much different around you. People are going to respect you a little bit more. People are going to be more enticed by who you are and what you're about. And they maybe don't know why, because you're acting like that tiger, so to speak, right? You're acting like a tiger, and you're just out there in the jungle of the world, the concrete jungle, and you're hunting alone, you're being by yourself, you're the loner. And there's nothing wrong with that. But eventually, for me, myself, I wanted to grow out of my tiger phase into a lion phase where I actually had people that I could be social with, because I understand the value of being social. And I understand the value of how it is pertinent to your psychological and spiritual understanding of yourself in all wholeness that you learn how to think while speaking. If you can learn how to think while speaking, you're going to basically be unstoppable. And this takes a lot of writing, for example. I recommend everybody to write in journals or something like that for at least 10 to 20 minutes a day, just to get your thoughts on the page and to just write. Because ultimately, how you write is going to become how you speak. Now, me, myself, I'm a much better writer than I am a speaker, as you guys can tell. So I'm a much better writer than I am a speaker. And that means that I can orient my thoughts more reasonably when I'm seeing the words on the page, because I usually think in images. I don't think in words necessarily all the time. I think in images, and then I describe the image in my head that's going on through language. That's really what I do when I'm thinking, even doing these kinds of videos. I'm seeing certain images in my mind, and I'm formulating language that pertains to the images that I'm seeing. Now, it's not necessarily the case that I can't think in words, it's just that I tend to think in images more. So when I see the actual words on the page, it's a lot easier for me to process the words like a puzzle. So anyway, you might relate to that in some regard, one way or the other. You might be thinking in words more, maybe you think in images more, who knows? But either way, it's going to be relevant to you. So when you're moving out and you are acting like this tiger, right? When you are operating in the mode of tigerhood and you're alone, you're on your own. Think about Tigger. Oh my gosh, I just thought about this too. Has anybody seen the Tigger movie with Winnie the Pooh, like the Winnie the Pooh characters? Man, I haven't seen that forever. But I just remembered that Tigger, in the Tigger movie, who's a tiger, he wanted to find his family tree, but he could never find his family tree because he was all alone. And he realized that he was all alone. I can't remember the exact storyline because it was literally decades ago when I saw this. But I remember that Tigger movie, and I remember relating to Tigger for some reason. I remember relating to Tigger a lot and wanting to, really discover the genealogy of my past and all these things. But that's going to be kind of where you orient yourself and you operate in that domain of apprehension when you're leveling up in godlyhood and godliness. When you might be isolated when God is actually trying to get you to a better place. I was isolated for nearly a year before I found, like, literally, I would go to work, I would go to the gym, and I would come home, and that was it. Like, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't want to do anything with anybody. I was just there to be where I was at. And then I came home and I pretty much just sat in silent darkness because I needed to let my nervous system chill out and relax. I'd just been in fight or flight for so long that I didn't know how else to move. So being able to just sit in silent darkness and just relax for hours at a time and just let my body calm down and meditate as well, that was really helpful. So anyway, I was in that tiger mode for about a year. And now, even though I don't really talk to people in my community physically, I know how to be personable. I know how to be socialized. I know how to have soft skills, etc. But what I don't really have in the physical community in real life is that really solid group of men or women that I can truly trust. Like, if there's something that's going on, I'm going to these people. Now, I do have that within the online domain of apprehension, and I do have that with the Regal Change Academy as well. We have certain people in there that I know for a fact. I mean, they're probably more ready than me. Like, for some of these people, like they know their stuff. And that's what the kind of people we want in the Regal Change Academy. We want people that know their stuff, that are prepared, that are ready to go forward and face the elite problems that we're facing as a society and have that godlike savageness to solve them. And for all the women that are in there, we want warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women. And these, you'll find that if you're a woman watching this perhaps, and you find that you speak calmly, softly, but you still have a will, right? You still are able to set healthy boundaries. People are going to respect you a lot more. And they're going to, men in particular, are going to fall in love with you like that. I mean, it's just, and I don't recommend men to fall in love, by the way. Women can fall in love, that's fine, but I don't think that men should fall in love. They can rise in love with the woman, but to fall in love, I think it just drives men mad. But anyway, the point that I really want to hone in on and really capitalize in this video is that you're going to be making moves in your life that people are going to notice. And whether or not they're going to change their behavior based off of your behavior, it's up to them. But in my experience, even though they're not always going to take the information, or they're not going to like see certain things about you and do something about it, they will respect you, and they will at least try most of the time to make certain adjustments in their life. Not everybody's going to succeed in making those adjustments, but that's okay. And we want as many people to come along this ride as possible, but we also want people that are competent, responsible, and ready to go to the next level. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. We do have the Seek retreat coming up for the Regal Change Academy. It's a meditation retreat, full day from dawn to dusk. We're going to have guided meditations throughout the day. If you can only attend a few of them at a time, that's okay. But obviously the goal would be to attend as many as possible. And you don't have to be in the Regal Change Academy to participate, but if you do want to participate, send me an email at regalchange@gmail.com. And we have the free Discord for the Regal Change Academy as well as the paid community. And there's going to be differences between each, and I talk about those in other videos. But for now, I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I do appreciate you guys listening and commenting, subscribing, following, not just on YouTube, but also on Instagram, X, and Rumble. I appreciate your guys' extra support. And keep your head up, keep moving forward, and make sure that the goal isn't necessarily to impact people's lives every single moment of every day, but by impacting your own life, you're going to be able to do that in a more positive way. as well. And that's just going to be a natural thing. You're going to be an overflowing vessel of godliness. And that's that. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and peace be with you. Till next time.